I'm Kris Foulds, the Curator of Historical Collections at the Reach Gallery Museum. Today, I'm excited to talk to you about forestry, one of the history themes that we've included in our permanent local history exhibition, Voices of the Valley. In early Abbotsford, like many BC communities, logging was the impetus for growth and development. In choosing property, settlers had to decide to settle on the low-lying prairies and face the annual challenges of spring flooding, or choose the higher, heavily forested benchlands and faced years of work to clear the land to prepare it for farming. Alfred Hawkins, the son of one of the area's earliest settlers, recalled that before a local market for lumber existed or a transportation system to ship it had been built, settlers resorted to burning the standing forests to quickly clear them. When he was asked about his memories of early Abbotsford, old-timer Clarence Bucher replied, "There was timber all around the place, you know. It was all timber." In the early 1890s, construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway brought a demand for railway ties, and logging and milling started on an industrial scale. Small bush mills were established throughout local forests, one every mile or two according to Mr. Bucher. Landowners made the most of the opportunity to clear land and create a profit. The brickworks at Clayburn and Kilgard required huge quantities of cordwood to heat their kilns, and landowners were eager to meet the demand. Even noted BC anthropologist Charles Hiltu supplemented his income cutting railway ties for the CPR. His small mill was located at Abbotsford Lake. The arrival of transportation systems paved the way for larger operations. Messrs. Cook, Craig, and Johnson established a mill adjacent to the CPR in the village of Abbotsford. In 1903, the Trethewey brothers purchased the Cook, Craig, and Johnson mill and relocated it to the north shore of Abbotsford Lake. The 5-acre lake was centrally located in the brothers' timber holdings, and the lake surface allowed the floating logs to be easily sorted for the specific milling operations. We know this lake today as Mill Lake. The Tretheweys established a spur line to connect with the CPR for shipment of mill products, and improved transportation between their logging operations and the mill by laying temporary rail lines to each logging camp. The Tretheweys acquired timber rights for vast sections of Crown land, hundreds of acres, and began to expand their business. Within a few years, the Abbotsford Lumber Company had become the single largest employer in the community and the third largest forestry employer in the province. The mill was shipping 15 to 20 million board feet of lumber and 15 million shingles across Canada annually at its peak of production in the 1920s. The forest industry attracted increased settlement. Settlers moving west and new immigrants were confident they would be able to find employment. Businessmen could be assured of a market for their goods and services. The growth of the community tracked the expansion of the forest industry. As quickly as land was logged, it was sold to arriving settlers. The cleared land was still covered in a forest of stumps that took years of work to clear and make fertile. It attracted Mennonite settlers that worked as communities to improve first one land holding, then another and another, shifting the land from forest to farmland. By the mid-1930s, most of the forests of virgin timber had been cleared. Industrial forestry continued, but not at pre-depression levels. Subsequent logging operations had to make do with less desirable second and third growth timber. In 1942, Canada entered the Second World War, and the demand for agricultural products solidified the shift from a community dependent on the forest industry to one whose economy would depend on agriculture. Thank you for your interest in learning more about Abbotsford's forestry history. Visit www.thereach.ca for more fascinating arts and history content.